Hi, I'm Max Keiser. This is the Keiser Report. Lots to get to. Stacy.
Max, you need the double-fisted money printer gun today because we're looking at a quote from Ben Franklin from how many hundreds of years ago? It was 200 and something years ago, 250 years ago. He was right. He predicted it. He saw today. He saw this day today. Because he said, when the people find that they can vote themselves money, that will herald the end of the republic. Boy, have they figured out that they too can get in this free money game.
I mean, this is an incredible quote from Ben Franklin, kind of one of the architects of America, and he told us how it was going to end. When you can vote for free money, the republic is done. And this is what just happened in the 2020 election. People voted for free money, and now it's officially, per Ben Franklin, it's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. It no longer exists.
Right. Well, that is kind of a reflection, a TV presenter reflection of this image. This was from the January 5th runoff election in Georgia. Where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money? This is new. Mitch McConnell's Louisville home was vandalized following his blockage of the $2,000 stimulus checks. Messages like, where's my money? And other expletives were written across the front door. McConnell called the move a radical tantrum. On the one hand, as we've been covering here, the bankers since 2008 have been getting free credit. They haven't had free money. This is money. This is actual cash money that the Treasury, that the government, the people of America finance and print. But they've been getting credit, and obviously we've seen the Cantillon effect. We've seen this explosion in the wealth gap in particular. Now people are starting to cotton on that they need free money too, especially since the economy has been shut down. They're asking for free money, and they want 2,000. That was the message. They want more money. Give us more money. Where's my money?
Well, that's an important distinction. The free credit that's given to the cantillionaires allows them to buy stuff like chateaus or fine art or Ming vases for very little, if not zero cost, because that free credit doesn't have any interest rate attached to it. And they buy this stuff, and the price of that asset goes up, fueled by the free credit. Everyone else in America, they've got a credit card, which is 16, 17, 18%. They've got to go to the payday lending shop, which is 200, 300, 2,000%. It's what I call interest rate apartheid. It causes the cantillionaires. It causes the wealth and income gap. Now the government is in a quandary. They have to print actual money and distribute it to the peasants of America. Let's be honest, that's what we're talking about. And the peasants are upset because they've had their country stolen from them. So now we've got a genuine peasant revolt, like we had in France, or we had the Bolshevik Revolution. We've had many revolutions over the centuries, and now America finally is having its first major peasant revolution.
The bizarre thing, of course, is it's come about 20, 25 years too late. The cantillionaires already long ago shipped away your manufacturing capacity. So when that money printing comes and there's no goods or services being produced with any of it, that's a recipe for total chaos. We already see it. Like the markets, the ones that are allowed to trade freely, i.e. gold markets are not allowed to trade freely because, of course, the psychological warfare from the central banks, and that's what they engage in, right? That's what Fed speak is. They try to maintain your animal spirits. They want to make sure that people don't save too much because that undermines their authority and their system. But what the free markets that have been trading are the commodity markets. They're too massive, like all of the agricultural goods, the base metals, the industrial metals, all that sort of stuff. They've been rocketing. But of course, Bitcoin as well just has been going berserk because also like the Wall Street and institutional investors are getting into it. And they're the ones that finance the political system, so they know what's going. This is them like front running what they know has to come because those peasants, if they don't want the peasants storming Wall Street, they know it's coming, but they're protecting themselves, and that's by going into Bitcoin. So as soon as there was the last county left in Georgia, and they had a weird confusion about how many votes were actually left outstanding. And then they said they're going to shut down for the night and they're coming back in the morning. And what happened is Bitcoin went like this. It it immediately recognized that, the Democrats were going to have enough authority and power in the Senate to then pass the $7 trillion stimulus bill that the Biden administration was. So it was immediately responding to it, whereas gold didn't. Gold actually kind of fell.
Right. There's no price discovery in gold, right? We now know, if you look at the charts, for every kind of move in money market paper derivative creation, there is a move in Bitcoin, but it doesn't reflect in gold because that money market derivative creation is used to create artificial sell orders on gold. And that's been a conspiracy theory for a while until Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan just paid $1 billion fine, having this been now shown to be true, that they were manipulating the gold price in exactly the manner I just described and have been saying for 10 years. And they paid that $1 billion fine by, guess what? Manipulating the gold price. Oh, wow, that's a pretty strong enforcement agency you got there over at the FinCEN and SEC. Good job, Eric Holder. Remember him? He said that prosecuting bankers was amoral.
Now the people know that they could ask, where's my money? And they finally are asking for that. And what does Chuck Schumer say? Well, Schumer says $2,000 checks will be among first agenda items when Warnock and Ossoff are sworn in Georgia. So they take the Senate, and then the first thing they're going to start doing is sending out money. Of course, they're going to need that, right? Because the markets can front run this. The markets front run the peasants. The people are going to be happy with the $2,000, but they're going to pay more than that in the inflation, because the speculator, investor, Wall Street class already knows that money's coming in. They've already collateralized it. They know, okay, they're going to have $2,000 more to spend. We know where they spent it so far. We're going to front run that and charge them more.
Right. Here's $2,000, and by the way, your purchasing power just dropped more than $2,000. So we took money away from you. And the Wall Street crowd and Bitcoiners are front running this for sure. And this is an amazing moment in history when the money spigots are used to prop up a falling regime. So, I look at those photos coming out of Venezuela of the Bolivar littering the street, like we've littered the set with this paper money, and that literally is coming to America. Weimar Republic, when they were wallpapering their homes with the German currency at that era. That's literally coming to the U.S. They are going to debase the value of the dollar to zero, and the dollar goes the way of every single fiat money, paper money regime of the past 300 years. They've all gone to zero, and the U.S. dollar is going to zero, or, in the case of one of those currencies, it lost 99.9% of its purchasing power, effectively zero.
If the dollar goes to zero, and we have more about that in the second half, all currencies, the whole fiat grid, the dollar is the global reserve currency. So it affects everybody. It won't be easy, but everybody is front running it by going into commodities, by buying things. Who knows how much China over the past decade or two has been stockpiling huge amounts of resources ready for this. We don't know how much of those resources that they import they've consumed, or if they're just storing it. Chris Hayes, mainstream media, cable news, corporate guy, said, "Vote for us and we will give you money," is the apocalyptic nightmare that conservatives of all stripes have been terrified of since the dawn of democracy, which is a good, he's cheering it, obviously. It's like, haha, you have to give the people money. And it's a great juxtaposition to that Ben Franklin quote. Most of these guys like Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow think they're way more clever than the likes of Ben Franklin, right? But he was probably the most clever of all of the founding fathers. And, that notion of a republic or a democracy, that was actually debated and discussed whether or not, you want a democracy or a republic, i.e. like a protocol or rules that nobody could violate, even if they have the majority of the population.
Yeah, that's a very important distinction. With this money printing now coming along, what we're going to see finally is inflation for real. So when you print credit, has been going on since Alan Greenspan in the mid-1980s. You have this bifurcation in the economy where the central bank can claim that there's deflation because they're printing debt. And debt, by definition, you could say is deflationary. So they're printing debt. So yeah, it's deflation. But now they've come to the point of the peasant uprising where they're going to start printing cash, not debt. So now prices for food and energy are going to go up 20, 30, 40% in the next 18 to 24 months. So now you're on lockdown. You're not getting a rise in income of 20%, 30%. Everything's going to go up by 30%. So the peasant revolt's starting to get more. I just want to remind people that this is not the way it was supposed to be. In the Constitution, they specifically say money is gold and silver.
They in particular say the states, the individual states. So North Carolina cannot issue credit other than in gold and silver because the United States itself, the national nation, the federal government did not want to go to war because North Carolina owed money to France, say. So that was part of why they said that. But the federal government could issue the credit, and they're going to do that now. They're going to start issuing more money. And so whether or not the system can sustain, obviously Biden is the sort of guy that will work with the IMF and UN, unlike Trump. He was definitely against those people, and they were signaling what they want. They told us during the election cycle, they said they want a new Bretton Woods. So that could be something that they're on board with, and that's perhaps like their plan. So who knows?
Yeah, to be clear, with Bitcoin, I can transact with you, and nothing can stop it. It's uncensorable, it's unconfiscatable, it's protected by an encrypted shield. And that encrypted shield cannot be pierced by any government, any group of governments, or any computer. And so we live in this encrypted, shielded environment called Bitcoin that is outside of the nation state. So nation state, we don't care if you go away, and you should go away because you've outlived your usefulness. You too, central banks.
Time to go to the second half.
Let's do it. Welcome back to the Keiser Report. I'm Max Keiser. Time now to turn to Alistair McLeod of GoldMoney.com. Alistair, welcome back.
Thank you for asking me, Max.
A lot of people ask me why I'm so smart. And the reason is I read Alistair McLeod over there at GoldMoney.com. You just wrote the following. The U.S. dollar is probably not even going to make it to its 50th birthday in August. It looks like you've got a very bearish outlook on the U.S. dollar. Alistair, fill us in. What's happening?
Basically, I'm afraid the U.S. dollar is already in hyperinflation. Now, that's my definition of hyperinflation, which is as follows. When the money printing goes at such a rate that it is really beginning to take over the finances of the country,